Most men talk to be seen. They fill every silence, answer every question, explain themselves to people who were never going to understand. They think speaking is power, that the loudest man in the room is the strongest, so they spend their words like a man who thinks he has an endless supply. He does not. And every word spent buys him less than he thinks. The man who speaks the most usually understands the least. He is so busy broadcasting that he never receives. He tells you his plans, his fears, his weaknesses, his next move, and calls it confidence. But he has handed every listener a map of himself and kept no map of anyone else. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, said it plainly 2,000 years ago. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we may listen twice as much as we speak. The Stoics did not prize silence because they had nothing to say. They prized it because they understood what speaking too much costs. Here is the problem with the way most men use their words. Every time you speak, you give something away. Your position, your intentions, your state of mind. The man across from you learns where you stand, what you want, and how to move you. Speech feels like strength because it fills the air, but it empties you. You cannot study a room while you are performing for it. The man who explains himself constantly is not understood more, he is valued less. Mystery has weight. The man who says little makes others lean in. The man who says everything makes others lean back. He thinks he is connecting. He is only leaking. Epictetus told his students, "Be silent for the most part, or say only what is necessary, and in few words." He knew that most of what men feel the urge to say adds nothing. It only relieves the discomfort of silence. And a man who cannot sit in silence will say things he can never take back. The Stoic principle is this: the man who watches and waits sees the whole board. The man who must speak sees only his own turn. Information is power, and silence is how you gather it. Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman world, and he ruled it as a watcher. His meditations are full of one instruction repeated 100 ways. Observe before you judge, understand before you act, and do not rush to fill the air with opinions. He governed an empire by first learning to govern his own tongue. A loud mind is like churning water. It reflects nothing clearly. A quiet mind is still water. It shows you exactly what is in front of you. You cannot read other men while your own noise fills the room. Quiet yourself and the world becomes legible. Here is what no one tells you about silence. It is not weakness. It is not having nothing to say. The most dangerous man in any room is the one who has weighed his words and chosen to keep most of them. He gives you nothing to use and takes in everything you offer. Restraint of speech is not timidity. It is the discipline that makes a man impossible to read and impossible to rush. Learn to hold your words and you stop being a man others can manage. You become the still point they cannot move. Move 1. Listen to understand, not to reply. Most men do not listen, they wait for their turn. They are loading their next sentence while the other man speaks, and they miss the very thing that was offered. Real listening is a weapon. When you actually hear a man, you learn what he wants, what he fears, and what he will do, all without spending a single word of your own. Zeno did not build a philosophy by talking. He built it by listening for years before he taught. The man who listens first holds the advantage in every exchange, because he understands the situation, and the talker only understands his own performance. Say less and others say more. Listen fully, and they hand you the truth they meant to hide. That is the quiet power of the closed mouth and the open ear. Move 2. Put a pause between the trigger and the word. The loud man reacts instantly. He says the first thing he feels, and feelings spoken in the moment are almost always regretted. The Stoic builds a gap. Between what is said to him and what he says back, he places a silence. In that silence, the impulse dies and the right response is born. Marcus wrote that you always have the power to have no opinion, to say nothing, to let a thing pass. The space before the answer is where a man's strength lives. Anyone can fire back. Only the disciplined man can wait, and the wait is what keeps him from handing his enemies the reaction they wanted. The word unspoken can still be spoken later. The word spoken can never be unsaid. When in doubt, wait. Silence keeps every option open. Move 3. When you do speak, make it count. Silence is not the goal, power is. And the man who speaks rarely speaks with terrible force when he finally does. His words are rare, so they are heavy. He does not waste them on noise, on gossip, on proving himself. So when he opens his mouth, men listen as if it matters, because he has trained them to know it does. Epictetus taught in short, sharp lines that men remembered for a lifetime. He did not bury his meaning in a flood of words. He sharpened one point and drove it home. Say less, but make what you say impossible to ignore. 100 careless words carry less than one chosen one. Speak like a man who pays for every syllable, and each one you spend will be worth 1,000 from a lesser man. Speaking less was never about having nothing to say. It was about seeing clearly, staying unreadable, and striking only when it counts. The watcher always understands more than the talker. The patient man always outlasts the loud one. The The world rewards the loud for a moment and the watchful for a lifetime. Learn to sit in silence without flinching. Learn to listen until others empty themselves of every secret. Learn to wait until the right word, and then say it once, with weight. Watch more than you speak, and you will know things other men never learn, because they were too busy talking to see. Listen to understand. Wait before you react. Speak only with weight. Watch and wait. If this channel has been forging something in you, subscribe. New episode every Tuesday and Saturday. Then sit back, stay quiet, and watch the next one closely. Watching teaches you who is with you and who is against you. And once you can see your enemies clearly, the real question is what a Stoic does with them. That answer is colder than you think.